She had the voice of an angel, but Karen Carpenter was secretly enduring a private hell. Karen kept her war with anorexia from her family and her fans. It wasn't until she appeared to have overcome the disease that complications from it ended her short life.
The pain has not subsided at all. I've learned to live with it. Of course, I learned to live with it back then. There's really not much else I could do.
It is Karen Carpenter's timeless voice that she should most be remembered for. After all, she and her brother Richard were arguably the most popular group of the 70s, selling more than 80 million records. But sadly, Karen is also remembered for being the celebrity whose death put anorexia on the map. 18 years ago this weekend, she died of heart failure, brought on by years of suffering from the condition. She was just 32. A few months after her passing, Richard talked to E.T. candidly and said her condition first surfaced in 1975.
We began to notice quite a bit of weight loss, and I talked to Karen about this. At first, of course, I was assured that it would reach a certain point and then level off, but it went right past it.
Grammy-winning producer Phil Ramone was a close friend who remembers Karen downplaying her symptoms.
I said to her, what's going on, you know? She said, well, I've got to do some TV shows, you know, and you know how it is. The camera puts on 10 pounds.
Eventually, the 5'4" singer's weight dropped from 120 pounds to a mere 80. Even so, she continued to perform. In a VH1 Behind the Music special on the Carpenters, friends and family recall just how bad things actually got.
There were lemons galore. She had lemon in everything because lemon is a natural diuretic. And the laxative she hid, she got very clever.
After each show, she was lying down. Yet she'd be able to pick herself up in time for that show, walk out, and even though there was a collective gasp from the audience because she looked thin as hell.
And I never understood nor will I ever understand what it was that she saw through her eyes in the mirror. I don't think any of us can ever understand that.
Some speculated that career pressures were behind the disease.
I firmly believe had Karen been a homemaker and never sung a note in her life, this would have happened.
But others believe Karen's anorexia stemmed from her personal relationships.
Richard said, well, I love you. And her father said, I love you. Her mother couldn't do it.
Whatever the cause, by 1982, Karen was bottoming out. There was a short-lived marriage that would end in divorce, and her first attempt at a solo album was shelved by the record company. She finally sought treatment with a psychiatrist and began months at a New York City hospital. Her weight was down to 78 pounds.
And she kept losing weight, and they couldn't unravel it, so they put weight on her. Well, that's not psychiatry.
As a result of intravenous feeding, Karen checked out of the hospital weighing nearly 30 pounds heavier than when she checked in.
When I saw her, I said, well, look at you, Miss Thing. You done gained some weight. She says, I got hips. I said, well, what's different now? And those were the words she uttered. I've got a lot of living to do.
Richard, however, saw something else when he looked at Karen.
Her eyes, she had these marvelous brown, big eyes, and there was just no life in them. And we're not a big touchy-feely, huggy type of family, but I told Karen that the only reason I brought this up was because that I was concerned that she doesn't look well to me, and because I loved her. Because in 10 days to 2 weeks, she was dead.
On the night of February 3rd, 1983, Karen went to spend the night at her parents' to sort through some old clothes.
I kept to call her to come down to breakfast, and she didn't answer me, and I kept calling her. She was in that room right at the top there, and when she didn't answer, I went up the steps, and she was already dead, just like that.
Karen's funeral was attended by Dionne Warwick, Burt Bacharach, Herb Albert, and countless other friends and family who were devastated by her passing.
We lost her at 32 years old, and she didn't drink, she didn't smoke, she didn't touch drugs, and yet to die of heart failure at 32, I've got to be a little bitter. I have to be.
A TV movie on Karen's life followed in 1989, with Richard serving as executive producer. He has, since her death, been the steward of her legacy, the keeper of the flame. And as he has gone on to find success as a producer in his own right, he, like all who ever heard her sing, are left wondering just what might have been.
Karen was just too damn young. Anybody's too young at 32 to leave us. But Lord, someone who could sing like Karen, you always think how much more they could have done.
Karen's final live performance was 2 months before her death in front of family and friends at a private concert for her godchildren's school. And we'll be right back.